Hello, my name is Dee Ramos and you are watching the third of 6 videos. In this video we are assembling the sign-in screen of a Power App. So the idea is that when you arrive to an office and you need to sign in, hopefully there's not a paper form that you are signing in with a pen and paper. We can replace that, if you do still have pen and paper, with these videos here. So the idea is that we're going to use Power Apps to create the Canvas app. And then we're going to also, in these videos, since there's 6 of them, I'm sharing the components that I need to assemble to make sure the app works as smoothly as possible, including a SharePoint list, an Excel spreadsheet, and some Power Automate flows. So stick around and I'm going to show you how to do the second screen of the Power App, which is our sign-in screen. So here we're looking at our first screen that we already created, the home screen, and I'm going to collapse the home screen. And next, we are going to add a new screen, and we're going to go with a blank screen, and we're going to rename this screen to Sign In Screen. Great. Now, we are going to add our background image, the same one we had before. We added that. That's looking good. All right. So next, what we want to put on this screen is going to be a form for the visitor to sign in. So something with like visitor name, the reason you're visiting, who are you visiting at our office. So to have that form, first we need to have a spot to store the information, which is going to be on SharePoint. So here we have a SharePoint site, and we're going to add a list. So you can click new and add a list here. If you don't have that button, you can also click on the gear and then site content, which is what I'm doing here. From here, we'll click on new and list. And we're going to create a blank list. And here we're going to give our list a name. So we've got demo visitor log. And then because I left this checkbox where it says show in site navigation and click create, in a few seconds, we have the demo visitor log here on the left. Perfect. So what we need to do now is that we are going to add columns. So the first column here is going to be a text column. And this is going to be to collect the information of our visitor. So we're going to name this one visitor log for the intent of getting our visitor's name, and we made that a required field. We're going to add another column, and this column is now going to be a person. So here it's going to use our Active Directory to check our directory and their usernames. So we're going to make this a required column, and we'll click save on that. We're going to add a few more columns here. So the next column is going to be a choice column, and we're going to have this be the reason you are visiting our office, and we're going to give this some choices. So we've got meeting as a choice. You could be here for an interview potentially. You could also be at our office for an event. Maybe you're at our office to do a delivery. And let's also add other, just in case there is a reason that we don't have on here. And then I'm also going to drag and drop these choices in alphabetical order, and I'm going to leave other at the bottom. Awesome. And we're going to make this a required field as well. So we'll click more options and scroll down and required and save. Great. So if the person picks other, they should be able to provide us a text reason of what that other reason is that I did not have listed in our choices. So let's click add column. Let's make this a text column, and we're going to call this other reason. And I'm going to click save. I don't need to make this required because not every reason would require this field to be filled out. Great. Let's add another column. This column is going to be a text column. And this column is going to be what company are you with? And that is not required, so I'll click save. The next column is going to be a sign in time column. So let's make this a date and time column. And we're going to call this the sign in time. We do need it to be a date and time, so we need to check this time on. And we're going to use a calculated value, and we're going to put in the equation of equal NOW, open and close parentheses. So that's now and save. Perfect. And then we're going to do one more date and time column, and this is for the sign out time. And again, we'll include the time and click save. That one will not have a calculated value. Over here on title, we're going to click on column settings and just hide this column because we're not going to be using it for our scenario. And then lastly, I'm just expanding these so that we can see what the columns are for, the title of each column. So as we're filling in data, we can see what it is for. Okay, so that's our SharePoint list assembled to store the information from the app. So we're going to need to go back to that app now. We're going to make sure we're on that screen. Here we'll click on Insert and we'll do Edit Form. We're going to scroll to our connections and we're going to scroll down and we're going to find SharePoint. We'll make that connection. And here I'm going to select the SharePoint site that I created the list on, or you can type in the address here above. Once you select the site, you select the list and connect. That'll take a few seconds to load. All right, so now we have our form here. I'm just going to scroll this down so we can, drag and drop it down and make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so right now you can see all of the columns became fields on our form. So let's rename our form, and we're going to call this the sign-in form. Okay, so next let's format this column a little bit. Let's format this form a little bit better. So we have like the title, which we actually hid on our list because we're not going to be using that. And then we can also see that there's like 3 columns here to fill out the form. So we can actually change that as well. So over here on the right, we'll click on Edit Fields. And here are all of the columns on that list. Well, not all of them, Here are most of them. So here I'm actually clicking the ellipses and removing it from our form because it's not needed. Another thing that we can do is this attachment part. We don't need to upload attachments, so I'm going to click the ellipses and remove that as well. If needed, you can grab these fields and resort the order of your form and the order of the questions. But I don't need to resort them, so I'm just reorder them. So I'm just going to remove the sign in and sign out time. And those are the main 5 fields I want the visitors to fill out. Next, I'm going to change the column count from 3 down to 1. And I like how that looks much better. So let's make this almost a full screen here. And I am comfortable with this now. So I'm actually going to drag this form up a little bit. So down below, I can add some buttons and a few other features to the screen. So next we'll click on Insert and let's add that button I just mentioned. Puts a button on our screen and I'm going to put that on the bottom right of the screen now. And same as before, I'm going to change the text, same location. And here I'm just going to put the word Submit instead. I'm also going to rename this button to Button Submit Sign In. And I can do it if you notice here on the right instead of on the left. All right, so now we've got our button and it's been renamed. Let's change the color. We're going to use that custom color and enter the code. All right, that looks good. And then we also have to change the color of the hover. So we'll click on that and update the RGBA as well. All right, looking good. We've got no X's or errors on our message, so we're going to click the Save button here, and we'll click the Play to preview. So here you notice that the form actually goes away when I preview the app. And the reason is that the default form, if you look here, is going to be the edit mode, is going to be the default of this form. Right here, default mode. So what we want to change this is to new. So the idea is that every time you fill out this form, you're going to need a new form instead of editing an existing visitor's details. So now if you see that preview, the form didn't disappear. All right, so that is looking great. The next thing I want to do, I'm going to format this button. And on the button, I am going to go to On Select. So right now it says false. Meaning if I click on this button, nothing happens. It's a false action. We're going to change that to now submit the form. So we'll type in submit form, open the parenthesis, and then we'll fill in the name of our form, sign in form, and then close the parenthesis. So when we fill out this form and then we click submit, it's going to submit the fields that were on the form into our SharePoint list. So from the home screen, we also need to change the on select of the sign in button. So we'll pick the button, find on select, and we're going to change the false to navigate, and then we'll open the parenthesis and we're going to use the screen name, which is sign in screen, and close the parentheses. So now we'll click the preview button on the top right. And if I click sign in, it navigates us to the sign in screen. And now we can fill out our form. So visitor log is going to be the name of our person. So here we have Emily Brown. She is visiting D, and if you notice, I typed my name and it found my name in the directory. And here we can tell the reason is for an interview and click submit. Okay, so now that it's been submitted, I can reference the SharePoint list, and if I refresh my screen here, there you can see Emily's Brown entry on and who she's visiting, why she's visiting, and the timestamp when we click that button. So that's looking good. What I don't like is that my form disappeared, and I would have preferred if it would have taken us back to the home screen instead of leaving us on this screen after it was submitted, and maybe a notification as well. So let's go over here to sign in form, and I'm going to find the properties called Onsuccess, and currently it's set to false. So I'm going to expand this here, and I'm going to change this. So the idea is that if I successfully submit my form, I want to add a notification, so we'll put notify, open the parenthesis, with what text. So in quotations, I'm adding successfully signed in, and close quotation. And then I'm going to put in the type of notification, so notification type, dot success. And then I'll close the parenthesis. So that's going to give a notice that it has successfully submitted. Also, I'm going to add a back function here and open and close parentheses saying, after you've given us our notice, please take us back to this previous screen, which is going to be our home screen. So that was on the form, the sign-in form on success. And now on our home screen, I'm going to hit play again. And when I click sign in, my form does not appear. So I'm going to show you why that's not happening yet. So we'll X out of this preview. Let's go back to the home screen, and we're going to click on that sign in button. And on select, let's expand this. What I need to do is I need to add 2 steps here. So the first thing I want to add is going to be the reset the form. Which form are we talking about? It is the sign-in form. We'll do a semicolon, and I'm going to do enter, and I'm going to do new form. Again, which form? The sign-in form, and close the parenthesis and another semicolon. And that will be the updated formula for the on select of the sign-in button. So let's click save, and then we are going to click the play button again to preview our app. You can also click F5. Both buttons do the same. So now we're on our preview. Let's click sign in. Takes me to a new form. It's a clean reset form. I'm going to fill it out again. So now we've got Ben Garcia. The reason Ben is here to visit Alex, and the reason is for an event. And I don't need anything else here, so I'll click submit. There's our alert. You've successfully signed in, and it took us back to our home screen. So again, if I click sign in, it's given us a fresh form, and that's exactly what we wanted. Next, we have these reasons for visiting. So here, if we pick other, we definitely want the person to fill out the other reason. So we would want to make that almost a required field. Also, if I pick interview, likely you're not coming from a company interviewing for our position here at our new company. You're probably representing yourself. So we wouldn't need to collect a company name. So these are not required fields from the SharePoint list, but we can add some formulas to verify that those fields are filled out depending on the choices of this drop menu. So to do that, I'm going to find the actual value of this drop menu here. So here we have data card value 18, and I want it to be like an if statement that says if value card 18 equals Other, I need somebody to fill out the other reason, so that should be visible. So let's first change value card 18 to DCV underscore reason choice. Perfect. And then let's change the other ones as well. So here we have the data card value 19, so let's change that to DCV other reason. And then we're also going to change the data card value 20, and we'll rename that to DCV underscore company. All right, so now what we're going to do is that if our data card value reason choice equals other, then the other reason field needs to appear. So if I clicked here other, I want to see this data card. So we've got other reason underscore data card. So we're going to make this a visible change. So how to make that happen is that I'll click on this data card and I'm going to find the visible property. So we have it here on the right. If I click on visible on the right, it does add the property on that drop menu as well. Here it was set to true. So I'm going to clear this out and I'm going to put an if statement. So I'll put if and I'll open the parenthesis. If the data card underscore reason choice dot selected dot value is equal to, in quotations, other, and then I'll put a comma. I want this data card to be true. I want it to be visible. If not, I want it to be false. And then I'll close the parenthesis here. All right. So let's click play and give it a try. So if I change this drop menu to delivery, you do not see other reason. If I change it to event, we still do not see it. But if I pick other, now I have the other reason displayed. Now if I do interview, we don't need to fill out what company you are with. So let's do something very similar. So we're going to select the data card for the what company you are with. Here I'm going to use the drop menu to find visible, and I'm going to change this from true to the other if statement. So I've got if, open parenthesis, the data card value underscore reason choice dot selected dot value does not equal, so we're going to do the two arrows here, one to the left, one to the right, does not equal interview, then we're going to do a comma and true. And if it does not, and if it, otherwise false, sorry. So if it equals anything but interview, make it visible. So right now it's interview, so it's not visible. If I pick delivery, now we have a field to fill it out. And same with event. And if I go back to interview, it does not appear. All right. So lastly, if I pick other, now you can see both are required. The other, I'm sorry, not required yet. They're both visible. So if I click the X here, click save, we have saved the progress we've made now. So here on the left of each field, you see these asterisks on the first three. Those are absolutely required because our SharePoint list requires them to be filled out. The bottom two are not required, but we can still use functions and formulas here within our app to make those fields filled out, required within our app. So what we're going to do here is this on select button. Right now it says it's going to submit the form, and it says which form, and we fill out that information. So we're just going to add some verbiage and formulas in here to say if the other reason is blank and the reason for the visit equals other, you have to give us a notice that it's not filled out properly and do not submit my form until it's filled out. And we're going to do something very similar to that company field as well. So let me show you how to do that. Here I'm going to expand the on select, and I'm just going to clear out what's in there first because it's going to get a little bit long, so bear with me here. So if we got if, and we're going to open that parenthesis, if the data card value underscore reasons choice, and we always have to put this dot selected dot value, is equal to other, in quotations, and 2 ampersands, the data card value other reason is blank dot text, and close that parenthesis, and then we're going to do 2 bars, or if this other field is blank, which one? Data card value underscore company, also dot text, and then we're going to close this parenthesis twice. So if either one or both of those are blank and the option is other, what do I want it to do? So we're going to add a comma here, and I want it to give us a notification that there is an error. So here we've added the comma, and let's notify, open a parenthesis, and the text we're going to use to notify is, please fill out the entire form, and end the quotations and comma, and this is going to be a notification type of an error. All right, so we close that parenthesis. So that's what we want to happen if it's other and some of the information is missing. Next, we're going to talk about the interview. So let's add a comma. So if the data card reason choice has a selected value of delivery, and then the bar means or, meeting, or event, and the company is blank, so I filled that information in. What do I want it to do? We're going to add a comma here, and we also want it to give us a notification. So the notification this time is, please provide your company name in a notification type of an error. All right, and then lastly, if all of those are false, then you can submit the form. So and then we'll close the parentheses here. We need to add 2 more parentheses. So hopefully that wasn't too confusing, but we're pretty much saying is, if it says other and the 2 fields are blank, give us a message. And if there's an interview and the company is blank, send us a message. So let's go back to our home screen and let's test this out. So if we click on sign in, we can fill out the form. We'll fill in our name, who are we visiting, and then the reason. So if I pick delivery, I have the company that needs to be filled out. And if I click submit, it says, please provide your company name. If I change my drop menu to event and I click submit, there's our message again. You still need to provide a company name. If I pick other, now it gives us 2 options to fill in. And if I don't fill those out either, and I click submit, it's telling us that I need to fill out the entire form. So that is how I make those fields required, even though they're not required on the data source, the SharePoint level. So let's change this to interview and click submit. And that worked as expected. So it navigated us back to our home screen. It gave us a notification that everything worked successfully. If I click sign in again, I'm back to a new form. So everything is looking great. So let's exit out this preview. And now if I go to insert, I'm going to add a back button. I notice there's not a way to, if I accidentally click sign in and I don't mean to. So let's add this back button here. I'm going to change the color. I'm going to make it another, maybe more of a vibrant pink this time. All right, I like that one. So on select of this back button, so let me highlight that again. So on select here, right now it's default to false. Let's change that to back. All right, so let's click save. Let's go back to our home screen and click preview. So I can click sign in, takes me here, and I can click back, takes me back to our home screen. Great. All right, so if I go back to my home screen, I want to add a few more things here. So next I want to add From the insert, I'm going to click on text label, and I'll drag this down towards the bottom. And let's make this a little bit bigger. Okay, that looks better. So here, I wanted to add a message saying something like, by clicking submit, you're confirming that you are you, the person signing in. So let's change this text here. So I have, by clicking submit, you verify that you are, comma, and I'm going to put in your name, and then I'll put another comma, the person signing in, then let's do another comma, and that all information provided is accurate to the best of your knowledge. Great. Okay, so what I want to do now is that I want to replace here name. And name is going to equal the name that the person types in when they start filling out the form. So here we have data card 16. So let's change this to DCV_name. Awesome. Okay, so let's go back to that label. And here, after the comma and the space, I'm going to put my quotation, do another space, I'll add the ampersand, and I'm going to change the word name. So I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to put in DCV_name. That text. Now we'll add a space, ampersand, and then do another quotation. Okay, so right now, since that field is blank, the data card value name is blank, it doesn't say any information. But if I type in here Jennifer, you can see below now it says you verify that you are Jennifer, the person signing in. All right, so that's working as intended, but I think that this whole box of this label shouldn't even be displayed until this field, the name field, has text. So if you are thinking of a visible formula, you are correct. So let's go back to this label, and we are going to then find the visible property. Great. And let's change this formula. So instead of true, because that would mean always on, we're going to add an if statement. So if, open that parentheses. So if the exclamation point is not blank, what is not blank? DCV name.text, and we'll close a parenthesis, comma, is true, then it should be visible, and if not, false. So we're saying that if the name is not blank, that's what the exclamation is, then make this true, visible. So let's go back over here. Here I'm on that SharePoint list. I'm just going to give this a quick refresh. We've only got those 3 on our list. So here let's click on preview. And now let's click sign in and give this a try. So here you can see that the label is not displayed. But if I type in Tina, now you can see the label below. Tina White is signing in. Tina is here to CD for the reason of delivery, and we have to add a company, otherwise it will not let us submit. Let's go with food company. And now by clicking submit, you are verifying that you are Tina White. Perfect. So there is our success notification. If I go to the SharePoint list and refresh, there you see Tina's information. Let's do another one. Here we've got Frank Anderson. Frank is here to see Alex. For an event, if I click submit, it still doesn't let me because I need a company name. So let's add that. Great. And now if I click submit again, there's our notification that it's all working, our SharePoint list, refresh, and there is Frank as well. Let's add one more here, I believe. So let's do Penny Star, and Penny is here to see let's go with someone different. Let's go with Taylor this time. And we are going to pick other, and we're going to fill out both of these forms. So we've got Penny is here for an inspection, and if I try submitting, yep, you got to fill out the entire form. Sorry, Penny. So let's fill out what company you are with. So let's say Penny is from an electrical company that needs to do some sort of inspection here. All right, so if I click submit, that looks great. So now that we have a bunch of people signed in, we are going to have to assemble a sign out form here shortly. So let's go back to that SharePoint list and just give this a quick refresh to make sure everything is still working as intended. So let's exit out of this preview and let's go to our sign in form. I'm sorry, our sign in screen. And actually, let's change this name. I notice it says visitor log. So let's unlock this. And if I go to properties and I click on visitor log, here you can see text. And I'm going to change, right now the default is not what we want. So we're going to put in the text of visitor name. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. And now I have an error here. Not too sure what happened there, but let's just click on this X and edit the formula. And it looks like for some reason it cleared out the last portion of my formula. So let's add the submit form, open parenthesis, sign in form, and close parenthesis, and I need 2 more parentheses here. So I didn't change anything, but something happened there. It just kind of went away, but we fixed it. We just typed in the exact same thing. So let's click save, and now I am set to go back to our home screen, give this the play, and there it is. Now it says visitor name instead of visitor log. Perfect. Okay, so the next video is going to be all about the sign out button. So now we've got a bunch of people signed in. Let's figure out how to sign them out when they leave with the proper timestamp. More to come. Thanks for watching.